Red Deer Randy Moller. And Red Deer, are we connecting here? Red Deer Randy Moller, ladies
Hi,
and gentlemen.
guys. How are you? Do you got me here?
Hey, you look good.
We do, but it's like a kung fu movie. Your mouth is moving, and then like 10 seconds later, the words are coming out, which is great. Speaking of kung fu fighting, and look, I don't know anybody that epitomizes the franchise there and wears his emotions on his sleeve, about the Florida Panthers more than you do, Red Deer Randy Moller. You've been a huge advocate for this team forever. Every time we get down on them, you lift our spirits up and make us believe. You're like the Benny Hinn, the healing power for this franchise. And yet, it didn't look like this was going to be the case here. I mean, when they were staggering kind of through the late stages of the season there, and they had to rattle off that 6-game winning streak, and then they lose two, crucial games at the end of the year. We're waiting to see the scoreboard to see if the Penguins lost, and you were thinking the Stanley Cup was a distant afterthought at that stage. So, what the hell happened out there? How are you, by the way? And how much are you enjoying this? We were just saying you couldn't have asked for a better scenario. Panthers in the Stanley Cup, and guess who they play? Las Vegas.
The Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah. Hey, good morning, guys, and thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's exciting times down here in South Florida, and I'm just so happy for the fans and for everybody involved. Us, all three of us, we've been together for so long, and we've seen the ups and downs and a lot of downs with this hockey club. But it's very gratifying to see how this team has really galvanized and come together. And they brought in Paul Maurice, the head coach, and the team knew that they had to change. They had to change the way that they played, the style that they had to play. They had to play tighter defense. They had to play more physical. They needed better goaltending. Well, it took almost the whole season. It was like Defo was like you in ninth grade or whatever. It took you all year of the school year to figure out that math problem. But they finally did. They got over a horrible schedule in February and March, and they got some of their injured players back. Bobrovsky and, of course, Barkov and Sam Bennett came back at the right time, and they seemed to just peak right at the right time. Now, go back to 96 when the Panthers last were in the Stanley Cup Finals. Defo, you were here. The Panthers lost like 10 of their last 13 games before the end of the regular season. Everybody was, oh, my goodness, woe is us, and what's going on with this team? But all of a sudden, they just came together. And what's so impressive is how they're able to win, like going back to last year, scoring all those goals, but they're able to win these low-scoring games. They're 6-0 in overtime. They're 7-1 in their last 8 games, and all of them have been one-goal games.
Wow.
It starts with Bobrovsky, timely goals, and the physicality that this team is playing now. They just beat the snot out of the Boston Bruins, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Carolina Hurricanes with the physicality, got them off their game. Matthew Tkachuk has been magical down here and captured the sporting imagination of this fan base down here. And you put it all together. It's all got to come together in order to have that collective success. The Panthers have found it. The cliches are all over the place. The lightning in the bottle. But the run that they're on right now is, I've never seen something like this, and I've been here for 28 and a half years.
Wow. Yeah, same here. And even Pat Riley was wearing a Tkachuk jersey when he accepted the Eastern Conference Championship trophy. So that was great. They're really lighting a fuse with a lot of people. It's been great. And Lubie's got something for you, but you mentioned Bobrovsky, and we can't help but think, can you pass along our apologies for the things that we said? I mean, we've equated him to when that Hungarian guy in the movie The Usual Suspects is going, Kaiser Sose, and his face is just laced with horror. And you're thinking that's what happened when Bobrovsky came into that game for Lyon, and you thought, oh no, Donald Trump in the pipes here than Bobrovsky. And then since that time, he's caught fire. So that's been sensational.
Well, and guys, this was, I think, for the fans as well. I know it was for me, and probably for you guys. you take a team, the Florida Panthers last year, that won the President's Trophy for the most points. They had scored the most goals since the 92-93 Mario Lemieux Pittsburgh Penguins. They beat the Washington Capitals in the first round. Then they go up against Tampa Bay. They get punched right in the nose.
Yes.
And they lose 4 straight. So Bill Zito and the hockey operations staff obviously had long, very tenuous meetings after that. And they sat down and said, okay, we have the talent on this team. We need to add a couple of pieces here and there. But the biggest thing is we have to learn how to play playoff hockey, which is so different from regular season, where it's run and gun and trading odd man rushes and 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s and that. In the playoffs, it gets more physical. You have to accept that, and you have to initiate. And there's less room to maneuver and make those fancy plays that the Panther fans were so used to from the year before. They bring in Paul Maurice, the head coach. He preached it from day one. You guys, I know, you know all about it. You read and watch his press conferences. And there were certain times in the year where he would still keep beating that drum, and you're going, oh, boy, Paul, you're talking about playoff hockey. You're 9 points out of a wild card. What are you talking about? But he never wavered. Yeah. And his belief in the team and the parts of the team that they had, he never wavered on it. And slowly it came. And then once they got through those, a lot of the the adversaries of the season and the long and the stretches and the, playing on the road, come home for 1 and then go back out for 4, and that's taxing on the team and injured players. And then, Alex Lyons, he saved the season, guys, in goal.
Yes.
Not once, he did it twice. And if it wasn't for Alex Lyons, there you go. Where would this team be? So
Lubie's so in support of the Cats. He's got a cat in the picture.
Parts. A lot of different parts why this team is where they're at.
Did you like that touch there, Randy, where Lubie has the cat come into the picture? I
got my little dog here. I'll chase I got my bear hunting dog here. She's 8.5 pounds or whatever. She's ferocious.
Hey, how are you not in Vegas already, though? I mean, in anticipation of
I'm not going to Vegas, guys. I'm not going to Vegas. I haven't been.
What?
I have not.
You are Elvis Presley to us.
I have not been in the arena since Game 6 against Boston. Once the first series is over, we do not do broadcast the games. Everything goes national on TNT or ESPN, right? So on Bally Sports Florida, we do over an hour post-game show from round 2 all the way through to the finals, and that after every game, we break it down. I break down plays, why this happened, why they won, why they lost. And we do that from the studios in downtown Fort Lauderdale, Bally's. So it's unfortunate.
You're not leveraging.
I'd love to be there.
Vegas.
Can you get us some tickets or something? I mean, come on, Randy.
No.
We'll go out there.
Yeah, that's true. But, I enjoy doing it. I worked the first number of games with Jessica Blaylock, and of course, she's a favorite of mine, and we're having a lot of fun. And now I'm with Goldie in the studios.
Oh, beautiful.
Goldie still goes to the arena home games for the first period and a half. Okay. He's over there and does a thing on the center hung scoreboard. But I'm in the studio, and I'm with our producer, and he's got the laptop, and we're watching those games, and we're breaking down all the plays and all the hits, and obviously the goals and the saves and that. So then we can put this thing together, and it's been a riot, guys. Can you believe it? The Panthers have won 11 of the last 12 games. 11 of the last 12.
Yes.
They've won 8 straight on the road. Nobody would have thought of this, a month and a half ago. But this team has proven that they can do it. And the talent on this hockey team has come together with the physicality and the grit and staying with the system. And Sergei Bobrovsky is just kicking everything out. He's kicking, and I'm a grinning, guys.
Well, the thing to me, and we talk so much about Tkachuk and bringing in the physicality. I haven't watched hockey like either of you, but I've followed it in my life. I find it's rare to see. He is a superstar who can do everything offensively, literally slap shots, juke moves. The goal he made to win the freaking series was ridiculous. But he's also willing to do the little things. Most stars, he'll fight. He's physical on defense. He'll set the screens. He'll just lead the team. To me, it feels rare for a guy that's his caliber player with the lineage that he has, a Hall of Fame father, who's willing to do all the little things. Like, how rare is that, Red Deer? Like that to me, it feels very rare. Like, you don't see.
Yeah, it is. He's got a Matthew Tkachuk's got a unique talent, but I can tell you what, he has changed this whole complexion. And it's not just the playoffs, guys. Go back to the start of the season. He plays the game the way that you have to play on a nightly basis consistently in order to win consistently. And that's doing the little things. And as you said, Lubie, about blocking shots, going to the net, willing to take the physical punch in the side of the head, finishing your checks. And, oh, yeah, he does all that. Yet he is our best offensive weapon, and he shows up every night. And you know what? This team has just gotten in line and followed his lead onto the ice of the style of play that the Panthers want him to, or want this team to play. And good on them. There were so many criticisms. The Panthers obviously traded two popular players in Huberdeau and Weegar to Calgary. Panthers give up first-round pick and a high prospect, but they knew that they had to change something, the personality on this team. In comes Matthew Tkachuk. The way I can compare it, guys, and Defo, you've been watching because originally you're from New York. It was the same thing. The New York Rangers were talented, yet rudderless. They bring in a Mark Messier, and within 2 years or whatever, they win the Stanley Cup. It's the same thing.
Well, this guy's a younger, addition also, and very much rolling into his prime. I mean, it's probably we've been saying is that usually we're on the wrong end of lopsided deals here in South Florida. Like it's the Marlins unloading, really good players and getting back a bunch of lame prospects that never blossom. We've seen this, the Dolphins making bozoic trades, and you're thinking, really, they let that guy go? He became a superstar. Wes Welker. I mean, all of this stuff that's happened. We're always getting hosed in these deals. This, I mean, we had, the Shaqquisition, as we call it, when Shaq came here for the Heat, but I think it's the most beneficial trade overall. I mean, Huberdeau was great last year, but he wasn't this element that Tkachuk brings with the toughness. And then at what point? Now, I know Denny Potvin used to do these things, these demonstrations out on the ice there when he was a color man with Goldie. I don't know if you're doing that, but when did you take Radko Gudas under your wing, Randy, and teach him the techniques that you had adopted from the WWE and incorporated into the game of ice hockey? I love this guy, man. He is my favorite Panther player at this point.
Oh, he's no doubt he's a fan favorite, and he looks more and more like the ZZ Top Boys. Every game.
Yeah, it's great, man.
To trim that beard. But go back to last year. If you watch the Panthers play consistently, it was Radko Gudas really that was the only guy consistently that was hitting and the big hits and play that physical, tough style and move guys out from in front of the net. Now they've got 18 players that do that. Yeah. And we add with Tkachuk and now Gudas, and they bring in the Stahl brothers and Mark Stahl and are back on defense. He's a physical presence, blocking shots, the sacrifice. To tie it all together, this team has accepted, Paul Maurice's system of how to win games and the block shots and the hustle and the cover up for each other, the support, the big hits, getting in the passing lanes, bottling up, frustrating the opposition. They have mastered it so far through the first 3 rounds. The big question, can they do it for one more round and win 4 more games? If they play the same way that they've played so far, the Florida Panther fans will be able to touch that holy grail.
I mean, I've watched naturally with interest much of the Western Conference portion of the playoffs as well. You always have an interest in Las Vegas, and the great angle there is the Marchessault Riley Smith thing, where We thought, are you kidding me? They let this guy who just scored 30 goals and looked like Pavel Bure Jr. Go in expansion, and then later, I guess they traded Riley Smith to Las Vegas. Vegas has Gerard Gallant behind the bench there to start things out. And they go to the Stanley Cup Final in their first year of expansion. Impossible. I'm thinking, how much money did Bettman take under the table to allow them to have these kind of considerations where they actually had like a good team? And the support was crazy there. I mean, I actually do, Red Deer. You've been to games there. The atmosphere there in Las Vegas, I mean, even for a regular season game against the Kraken, it is what you would expect, from, the all-time show-stopping city when it came to production, Las Vegas, Nevada. So how do you see these two teams matching up? Because I mean, that was a thing of beauty. I'm sure you tuned into the game where they clinched against the Stars, and you saw the beginning of the game. They had just lost 2 in a row. The series, like all of these playoff series, have been just airtight. I mean, they all could have gone either way. You can make that case. And the Stars are right in there with Peter DeBoer, oddly another former Panther coach. And they just laid it on them. I mean, they look great. They scored in such a variety of fashions. What would you say about this team? They were also getting good goaltending from this Hill, and when they're on, they look just like the Panthers do. I mean, almost mirror images.
Yeah, I think you're right, Defo. These two teams, Vegas and Florida, are built the same. They have above normal speed up the middle of the ice. They're tenacious. They have a big, experienced physical back end. The defense. They've got a hot goaltender right now in Aiden Hill coming out of nowhere. I mean, you couldn't find this guy with the hockey news about 6 months ago. Bounced around in the minors and a couple of cups of coffee in the NHL over the last number of years, but
yeah,
he's a very quality goaltender and he's played extremely well. Where I think the Panthers have the advantage is on the defense, the offense coming from the blue line. The Panthers right now through the playoffs already have 9 goals and 26 points in 16 games. 6 of those goals are from Brandon Montour.
Yes,
if the Panthers can continue to get that offense from their blue line, that might be the tipping point for them to host Lord Stanley's Cup. And special teams, injuries, and the number one thing is goaltending. And no better goaltender so far that we've seen in the playoffs than Sergei Bobrovsky. The big question, the Panthers will not play for 9 days in between games.
Yes.
Have they lost their edge? Have they lost their quickness? Have they lost their execution with that long layover? It's not so much physical, it's mental. The Panthers game 1 have to be ready to be jumped by the Vegas Golden Knights. They're such a strong home team. The Panthers have to be ready for it. They've got to play simple, stay out of the penalty box, not allow. Vegas has got a great power play, obviously, and ride it out. Ride it out for the first 10 minutes of that first game. If they're even or only just down a goal after the first 10 minutes, I have all the confidence in the world that the Panthers are going to end this series in a quick fashion.
Wow, that's strong stuff. I read Deer Randy Moller. I mean, you share the confidence of Maurice, the coach. We were so dead wrong about this guy, at least as far as this season goes. And obviously, there's been a tremendous resurrection because if Alex Lyon doesn't develop, a serious hole in his glove, we don't see Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
And when we did see him, we were still horrified when he came into that game against the Bruins here. And he gave up a quick, cheesy goal, and you thought, "Oh my God, this guy sucks." And
yeah, kudos to him, guys, because he came back in at the highest pressure point
that
any athlete could have in his career against the top team in the league. Your team is down, and he comes in and completely just takes over the series and took over the number 1 star in the Toronto series and played a huge role in the Carolina series as well. I've never seen this before. There's been some comparisons when Patrick Roy did it in '93 for the Montreal Canadiens. Also, there's been a couple other Jonathan Quick with the LA Kings when they won their first Stanley Cup.
He was hot
way back when. but it's a phenomenal ride. The big question, can it continue? Can it continue? Can Sergei Bobrovsky just look back on these last 9 days of a layoff and still have that focus and that form to be able to get into that zone, to make those big saves, to backbone the Panthers winning these games? As I said, the last 8 games have been 1-goal games, and the Panthers are 7-1 in those 1-goal games.
This guy's making circus saves too.
Oh, he's playing out of his mind.
I mean, he's like a wrestler coming off the top rope there and landing a haymaker. Slapping stuff away with the glove. I mean, impossible saves. That's been a lot of fun to watch. What can you tell us, Red Deer, about Paul Maurice? Because I've been very impressed, and we thought he was the French Joe Philbin because after games he would just say, I don't know. And you're like, who is this guy? He's losing his coach in NHL history. A team that was supposed to have all this promise, is laying there like they're going to miss the postseason altogether. And then all of a sudden, like you said, it all comes together. And this guy seems like the coolest cat in the room all of a sudden.
I heard a great story the other day. It's almost, I like to use comparisons. It's almost that you've got a restaurant, a highly rated restaurant, and have all the greatest ingredients and the perfect location and the view and the staff and that, but something is missing. The chef is just not hitting his stride to get this team over. And you bring in a veteran chef that's been to multiple places, that's been in the restaurant business for 30 years, and something happens, but it doesn't happen overnight. And I think as you could compare that to Paul Maurice. When he came in, from day one, he said, we have to learn how to play a different style. It may look good and have success in the regular season, but in order to sustain that success in the playoffs, you have to play a certain style. And I agree with you, Defo. There was times, and our fans were going crazy. We lose at home. I'll never forget. We lose at home on January 1st, New Year's Day, in the afternoon to the New York Rangers. And I was driving home after the game, trying not to drive into the ditch. We're 9 points out of a playoff spot. And Paul Maurice's comments after the game was still very positive about, we did some things right. We're still in a learning curve. We're still that. And I'm like everybody else. I'm
French Joe Philbin, yeah.
Oh my goodness, Paul, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
But I give him, that's where I give him credit, is that he never wavered from the style and the belief in this team. He said it a number of times. We have it in this room. If we can get healthy, get through some tough scheduling, and we can come together at the right time, this team can do some magical things. Guess what? We're in that magical carpet ride right now. Good on him.
Yeah. Our friend Jim Sarney would contend that it was when he, went the opposite direction with the team and called them a bunch of pussies. that was the turning point in the season right there. I don't know. I mean, you've been in hockey dressing rooms and, around the players on this particular team all season long. Do you think that would have had the kind of impact that, would indicate, okay, you're right, we are a bunch of pussies, we're going to turn it around?
Yeah, well,
and Gudis let him out of the tunnel that night. Said, let's go kill somebody.
Well, a lot has been talked about that situation. The Panthers were in Toronto. They were down. They weren't playing well. They'd lost 3 straight, coming off a terrible loss in lethargic, uninspired loss in Ottawa. And Paul Maurice is a very composed coach. And I think it just got to him. And he even said it. You know what? I've played the good cop. I've been a nice guy. I've kind of casually and passively pushed on these guys all season long. And he said, enough of that. And he let them have it. Sure enough, the Panthers come back. They tie it up. Montour gets the overtime winning goal, and the Panthers go 6-1-1 in the next 8 games and qualify for the playoffs. Yeah. And the rest is history. He's only done it once. I've only seen him do it once, but it was effective. Now, people ask me, just like you did, about being in the locker room.
Yeah.
I used to get coaches like that used to scream at me every day. Every
You're a
day.
pussy Muller.
Oh, all the time, and threatening to send you to the minors, and I'm going to bench you. And Muller, you're going to be so high up in the press box or whatever, the popcorn's going to be dry.
You were a first round pick,
and that so. And that just shows, guys, and you guys do a phenomenal job of covering all sports, and that you've seen how the game has changed. If you're a head coach, the Don Shulas and the Mike Keenans and some of these guys that were taskmasters, and that it doesn't work with today's athletes. These athletes are 21 years old, making $3.5–4 million a year, some of them even more. And your message, you can't be negative all the time. You've got to be half a psychologist, sociologist, taskmaster, strategist, general. You have to have a combination of it all in order to get your message through, to be able to not just motivate. Athletes need to motivate themselves, but to set a game plan on how, with the tools that they have and the talent that they have, the personnel, how they can get to point A and point B, and convince them in a positive fashion and positive reinforcement that the team will believe in it and buy in. And Paul Maurice has got the experience. He's seen every different type of style, every different type of team, players, and that. And for him to push the right buttons and order and be able to get these guys to buy in, kudos to him. He has proven that all the skeptics that halfway through and 3/4 of the way through the season, rightfully so, but he stuck with his guns. And how about this? I want to mention that even when the Panthers were clawing and fighting for a get back in that playoff race, at the trade deadline, General Manager Bill Zito didn't make a move. And everybody was up in arms. Oh, we got to do this. We got to do that. And what his speech, we believe in this team. We believe that in this locker room, we're going to stand by. We're going to support. This is our group going forward. Let's see what happens. Sure enough, away they go. And look where they are now in the Stanley Cup Finals.
And it's a pleasure having you on, Randy, as always. Just great fun. But I couldn't help but think, and I don't know if you'll get this opportunity, but I mean, in what ways would you add to the legend of things that have been done with the Stanley Cup if you get this in your possession for one day? I mean, where does it go? What do you do with it? I mean, people have baptized babies in the Stanley Cup. I mean, obviously, they've consumed all kinds of, bizarre alcoholic combinations. What does Red Deer Randy Moller do with the Stanley Cup in his one day of possession? If you get your
You know
hands
what? You caught me off guard, guys. I haven't.
It would have to be something colossal. I mean,
I don't get a day. I don't get a day with the cup by myself, and
right.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I'm just happy.
I'm sure the league is also.
Yeah. Can you imagine me clutching that Stanley Cup?
I'm trying to think what could possibly be done that hasn't been done in the past that would shake up the world.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine me taking that thing to Gulfstream,
yes,
holding on to it in a chokehold as I need that 8-ball to come around and pass 4 horses so I can hit that $1 superfecta and get them all in a row or whatever, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs.
Come on with this 8. Yeah, I mean, I could see. I mean, the Stanley Cup has never been fired at a jockey before.
Exactly.
In disgust after a bad ride. Ortiz, you suck. And the cup goes flying onto the track. That would be awesome.
I'm happy for everybody. I'm happy for this team, the Viola family, Doug Sifu, his partner, Vinny's partner, all the staff that have been through some very tough times. Nobody has been here longer than I have to see, and especially the fans that have been here and the support for so many years and have seen some promises and some heartbreaks. To enjoy this moment. We're almost there, and kudos to them, because they're the ones that really deserve it here in South Florida, the fans of the Florida Panthers. And hopefully we got 4 more wins to to really have a party.
All right. Well, it's been a blast as always, Randy, and I'm glad you returned Lubie's call because you had to be thinking it was concerning Game 3 tickets more so than this interview. Yeah.
Defo, Lubie already texted me a couple of days ago and didn't even tell you. And he's looking for tickets for Game 3, which is the first game.
Yeah.
And on what is it going to be on next week on the 10th, and I was able to do it. And all I told Lubie is he's just got to park at the back, and then come in that back door security door.
Yeah.
And just tell him that the password is Steve Goldstein.
Yes. Maybe he'll, be mistaken for Goldie and, like he was for Pat Day that time we snuck him into the Kentucky Derby. And the security guy actually thought he was Pat Day and said, are you going to win the 5th, Pat? And we're like, I think the guy's a few pounds overweight. I mean, I would imagine this guy is an anchor on the back of that horse. What are you talking about? All right, Red Deer, we love you, man. Thanks. And we'll be enjoying the series. We'll hope to talk to you again before this whole thing is over. And, who knows? It should be tight and it may go the distance. So that'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much, my friend. Always a pleasure. Red Deer.
Yeah.
Randy Moller.
Good luck, guys. Thanks for having me on. And Lubie, you got my address for that Landlubbers gift certificate. Talk to you later.
All guests receive one,
Yeah.
All right.
That was great.
Red Deer, good.